little bit of a fun video today. We are going to go through and make the best tier list for gear for 2025. So I apologize ahead of time if I'm a little off center. My dog is afraid of the fireworks right now. It is currently 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve. So he is under the desk blocking my chair. But we need to get into how to actually structure some cycles in 2025 and get rid of the dumb bullshit that's been floating around on the internet. So I figured the best way to do that is to go through a tier list and find out the best things to help you grow. But we got a New Year's offer. You need to hear it. So now that we're at 5,000 followers combined on my platforms, I really want to give back to you guys. So what I decided to do was open up 10 coaching slots. 10. You're only getting 10. It's only for the first week of the month because these will fill fast, and I don't have the capacity to take on any more than 10 all at once and onboard you. What the offer here is you get a free coaching program for 1 month. Free. I'm going to give you the program. You'll have one VIP check-in with me. So you have basically 1 week of VIP, and then it'll drop down to copper tier. And that's where you have your program, you can do the daily tracking, everything within there, and you have that access for completely free. But there's only 10 slots, and it's only open for 1 week. So you need to click the link in the description below if you want a free coaching plan to start out your new year, to get you on track. And you'll be in the app, you'll be in the community, but I only want the motivated people in there. So if you're just gonna dick around or you're not gonna actually apply yourself, don't take this offer from somebody who's actually gonna use it. But if you're motivated, I wanna see you in there. So go ahead, click the link down below. All right, if this tier list is gonna be legit, we need to make sure we address Greg's #1 compound first. The Turk. Obviously, it's gotta be legendary. Ooh, whoa, my tiers got messed up. Legendary. Just kidding, Trickastron's fucking ass. And not only does it have no evidence to show it does anything, but his Turk itself actually doesn't have Turk in it. So yeah, especially Greg's trash tier. All right, up next, Anadrol, legendary. How can you go wrong with Anadrol? It's just power in a pill. It helps you put on mass. It helps you output more power in the gym. It only taxes your liver, and your liver is pretty resilient. Just check your blood markers, and if your appetite's getting fucked, just go ahead and address that. Easy enough. Next is D-Ball, trash tier, because it's just Anadrol with a bunch of side effects, and it's not even as good for strength. So why would you use that versus Anadrol? I don't understand. You just have that methyl estrogen you have to deal with, a bunch of extra water retention, more side effects for less bang for your buck. Like, you're just overpaying for shit, essentially. So next up is Clen. I'm putting Clen in okay. I've actually never done Clen. Gonna be straight up honest. I never needed to. I ordered 600 tablets of albuterol, which is the safer cousin of Clen, and I've never had problems getting lean. You just gotta diet, do your thing, use it as a little enhancer. You still gotta do the cardio and the dieting, regardless. Clen has a lot of side effects that I just don't want to expose myself to. I'm already prescribed other stimulants, so I don't like mixing that with Clen. So to me, it's okay. If you use it in the right context, it can be okay, but it can be abused. If you overuse it, I have seen people have cardiac events from going too hard with it, being like, hey, I don't feel it, and then railing like 200 micrograms and they're in the hospital fucking 3 weeks later. So be careful with Clen. I'd say it's okay because there is potential for it to wreak some havoc. Next, growth hormone. Obviously legendary. It's the only thing that does what it does. Run as much as you can. You'll have the anti-aging effects. You'll have that extra muscle density and the ability to stay leaner in your off season. I think it's a very versatile thing. Cost prohibitive, yes, but if you can afford to run it, go ahead and run it. Insulin. Okay. It's okay. I tend to get kind of fat on it because it makes me super hungry, but the pumps are absolutely crazy. It can help drive extra nutrients in that training window. I've used it before and after training. For me, before training, you get absolutely sick pumps, and I feel like using that along with some Anadrol and maybe even some tren if you're getting crazy. We're getting ahead of ourselves. You get some really crazy pumps and power output, but at the same time, it becomes an issue if the workout goes on, or in the summer here in the South, my blood sugar crashes. So I really got to play careful with it, and especially if I'm doing cardio afterwards, like I just can't even do cardio. So if you're gonna use it pre-workout, I would definitely do your cardio in the morning if you can. Sometimes that's schedule prohibitive based on your job and everything else. Insulin's good at what it does. It just can be abused, and obviously if you don't know what you're doing, you can actually kill yourself. So take that into account. Next up is DECA. That's also okay tier for me. I've only done MP Peak. I didn't even want to mess with DECA. It's a longer ester. Some guys grow great on it. So if you grow great on it, you love nandrolone, that's why I'm putting it in okay. For me, personally, it's trash. It makes me feel like a little bitch. I sit in my room, want to beat my meat all day, don't go to the gym, just obsess over snap scores that girls aren't, you know, and they're fucking snapping other people. Like, weird shit that I would never do normally happens when I'm on any kind of nandrolone. Plus, it gives me the real puffy, like, gyno nips and all that, on top of not being able to, like, it seems like your estrogen is out of control, but my estrogen was actually crushed. So it was some kind of other effect. It was weird because like my prolactin and everything else were pretty much under control. Like they were slightly out of range, but it just made me feel like super estrogenic, but I wasn't. But I was like emo too. Not a good mix for me. Mass. Necessary is kind of like A, B tier. That's probably like A tier for those. I like mass. It's not the best in the off season. I mean, it can be used. I'd rather use Primo in the off season. Foreshadowing. But it does dry you out. It does make you hornier. I noticed that. Like Primo, I don't get like super horny on Mast. I do. Yeah, and I like it. I like to actually save money and get a little bit of benefit of each. When I run DHT, sometimes I'll split that and the Primo. If you source it right, they're roughly the same price. Primo's a little more expensive, but it's not like terribly more expensive. I kind of like to cut them half and half just to get the benefits of each. In terms of orals coming up, Anavar, Legendary, S tier. That is like the champagne of orals. Sick pumps, anything over like 50 milligrams. Like I've tried 75 before, but sometimes it's just painful pumps. If you get real Anavar, like 75 is a lot. Usually 25 to 50 is more than enough. People that complain about it, I don't think they got real Anavar because it is like a cramp from hell when it gets going. I mean, your shin pumps when you're on the treadmill. I was walking around Vegas once after taking it, and my shins were so pumped, I was sitting there like rubbing them out every 3 steps on the way to In-N-Out Burger. So yeah, it's really good if you have it real. I don't think it's really that hard to source real at this point, but there are labs that still fake it, so get your testing done. Proviron, trash. I don't understand why everybody wants to use Proviron. Like most cycles you run are so high in androgen load anyway that Proviron's not doing anything in your cycle. I know some people want to promote the SHBG benefits, blah, blah. If you're on like TRT, like I understand. Like in that context, it's probably okay, or, you know, B tier. But unless you're doing TRT, like I don't see the point. You're usually using bigger cycles anyway and other orals at the same time, so it doesn't make any sense. SARMs. Don't know, never used, never will. They turned the frogs gay. So if they turned frogs gay and all the fucking broccoli heads take it, you probably shouldn't take it. It'd probably be like trash, below trash, off this fucking screen, down the corner, into someone's asshole. Like, fuck that. T3, another okay. Another one that I haven't taken. I use T4 because that gets nuked by growth. But that's another thing where I feel like unless you really need to dig deep on a contest prep, you don't need to touch it. A lot of people like to use it because they struggle to stick to their diet and cardio, but you can honestly get lean without it. In a contest prep, if you really need it, I can understand using it. Context specific, kind of like Clen. I think it's more context specific and you don't always need it, but here and there people do, and you have to worry about it chewing through muscle too at a certain point. Testcipionate. I'm just gonna put these together because like Cipionate and Anthate are pretty much the same. I mean, I'll put Cipionate one below it just because I know there's some ambiguity. Did I say that right? With how its ester works compared to Anthate. I usually just use an Anthate. It's easier and it's usually dosed higher. Technically, EQ is in the test tree, but yeah, I would say A tier. For me, like it's S, like I've had no problems with it. Sometimes people have red blood cell count issues or they'll get like wonky kidney readings. But if you do a cystatin C or something more in-depth on blood work, usually you'll see that it's not affecting your kidneys at all. It's just something with EQ gives a freaking weird marker on the EGFR sometimes. But as soon as you come off it, like it'll go back to normal. It's weird. I don't know why. But there was a couple studies done on it that were a little iffy, and people freaked out about it. But the more, you know, we've seen people use it, it's never really given people problems. It's one of Jay Cutler's favorites. Red blood cell count issue is what some people get. I don't personally. Mine's usually right in the middle of the range no matter what I do, so I have no problems with it. Test prep, I'll say A tier. Context specific, once again, you know, contest prep makes sense, or if you're in a very specific phase, or you're like at the end of a cut, you want to look good for the beach, maybe you try to get your estrogen down, so you're using test prop and just doing short esters. Context specific, yeah. But I would not run a whole cycle of test prop. I mean, you can, it's just a lot of extra pinning for no reason. Sus, I'm gonna put okay tier. Problem with sus is you don't know really what's in it. It's just like a big mashup of fucking esters. So, I mean, you get a little bit of each, but I don't understand the appeal. Like, I'd rather know exactly what I'm putting in and when it's going to be in and out versus just like, yeah, just go ahead, just let it happen. You know, just fucking throw all caution to the wind, which all the gym bros like to do. Like, the old guys you talk to that sell gear through the freaking gym locker room, like, yeah, they love sus for whatever reason, but we have better compounds nowadays, so just use the better shit. Tren Ace, legendary. Hate me for it. If you hate me, go ahead, scan this QR code on my shirt and leave me hate mail in my DMs. Do it right now. Why do I love Tren Ace? Well, it's the best at what it does. It gives you a sick grainy look. It improves your power output and your neural drive by an incredible amount. For me, it does not give very many side effects. I get a little more pissy. My sleep's sometimes a little off. Other than that, I mean, unless I'm in a calorie deficit, I don't even know it's a sleep thing usually. Like, I'll sweat quite a bit when my calories are low, but besides that, it's good. It actually lowers my blood pressure and heart rate. Don't know why. My coach and I have been over this. We don't understand why. There's some people that it does that. I think it's a water retention thing. Usually I'm pretty watery, so it just like makes me shit off all that water and my blood pressure drops like a rock. I'm cool with it. Next up, Superdrol. I'm putting that trash tier. Is it good at what it does? Yes. Is it absolutely wreck your liver within like 4 weeks, cause a bunch of side effects, and then screws up your training for the next 3 weeks? Yeah. So at that point, I don't understand why you're using it when it's just like this 4 week like blow up, but then you got this rebound where you suck. Like, I'd rather have something consistent that's giving me consistent results instead of just this spike up and down and make my liver feel like shit and then I can't eat. And you're in the off season when you're using it anyway, so you can't eat, and now you're not hitting your calorie goals, so now you're not building as much muscle. It just doesn't make any sense. Winnie, context specific. Contest prep, things where you need to look super dry, great for that. Now it can be rough on the joints, and I wouldn't necessarily run it year round or anything. I do think it is a very good oral, but it doesn't need to be ran all the time. Just kind of pick your spots with it. And same thing with one not on here. Looks like the person that made this forgot. Oh, Halo is gonna be okay. Halo I'd put on the okay tier. I personally have never ran it. I've never wanted to run it just because I've heard of how it just makes people batshit crazy. Like, it's like tren on steroids. It's what I've heard in terms of making people really, really, really cranky and having like super jacked up aggression. And I've never been in a situation where I really need to, but I know some guys run it on contest prep if they're really digging deep, especially like the national level. If it's like end of prep and they need to push, like they'll throw it in there. Once again, a very context specific one, but the side effect profile is super high. So I know I'm being a complete hypocrite by putting Tren Ace up in S tier and then complaining about Halo side effects. But for me personally, this is my list, not yours. I like it. But if you liked this video and you want to see more of this content, make sure you please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. But I want you to leave a funny comment. I want something interesting. So why don't you tell me your funniest trend story down below?